Let's go. So we got Brian Koberger's mom texted him gruesome details of his own murders just before his arrest. Oh, interesting. So he did do it apparently. Brian Koberger's mom had sent him a link to a gruesome article about the University of Idaho murders he had already committed. Wait, what? Just weeks before he was arrested over the cold-blooded killings. Cell phone data showed Marianne Koberger had texted her 30-year-old son a link to the news report. Oh, never mind. So she's just saying, okay, never mind. I thought, never mind. Days after the 4 students were found knifed to death in their off-campus Moscow holy shit, what the fuck happened there? So what? Home in November 2022. Fucking what? Out of control car. Well, the grim. Subject. The grim article detailed the savage injuries that one of the victims, Xana Kernodle, had sustained in the stabbing frenzy and how she's put up a fight. The nature of their exchange wasn't immediately clear, but the data showed the deranged killer didn't respond directly to the text in question. Sorry. The pair did, however, speak on the phone at various points that day, according to the cell phone data. He was on the phone with her for hours, November 17, 2022, but that night received a link from his mom, Jared Barnhart. One of the forensic experts who explained the data told News Nation Banfield. Looking at the timeline a little bit, you can tell that they're actually speaking on the phone. What that tells us, and we can assume, is that they are talking about the Idaho murders on that night. And then the next morning, there's just kind of nothing. The expert said Kohlberger may have also been deleting the text exchange he had with his mother. There's also his complicating factor that they're on the phone all the time. And so the context could just be a voice call that we don't have the words for. There's no suggestion that Koberger's mother knew of his heinous crimes when she was texting him. Koberger wasn't arrested until December 30th. So yeah, there you have it. The bombshell revelation emerged after he was sentenced in July to life in prison without parole for stabbing Kernodle and 3 of her roommates, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, and Ethan Chapin, to death. Koberger's mother was spotted sobbing at times during his high-profile trial, including when the loved ones of the 4 victims gave crushing victim impact statements describing their grief during his sentencing hearing. And there you have it. So they were just saying, so apparently the mom was talking to Koberger right after the murders. And sent the article to him. Yeah, but right, it still doesn't explain why he would do it. As a man with both his parents still alive, I have never ever talked to my mom or dad for more than, I would say, 15 minutes on the phone. This is insane whether she knew about it or not. She talks to their mother for hours. Yeah, I don't even do that. Some folks with Asperger's have an unusually close relationship with one or both parents. What do you mean by, like, talking super long? My mom and I are super close, but not nearly as close as Brian and his mom. For me, it was the fact that she always knew something was off, not wrong, but off, with her daughter when no one else understood. Regardless of whether the two are connected or unconnected to the case, and indeed, regardless of between the two, I honestly do not know anyone who would think of texting about gruesome details of a murder. I mean, maybe, it was just a it was just a, well, honestly, we don't have a lot of the context on why she would send, right? We don't have the before context of why what's leading up to her sending the article, and then the after context, right? We just know, oh, she sent right, she sent the fucking text message, an article. Okay. That's all we know. So yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of info, right? I mean, they are blaming it on him, so who knows? Maybe the killer is still out there. We don't know. Who knows? 475 people were detained during an immigration raid in Georgia. Homeland Security official. Yeah, it was about 500. Immigration authorities said Friday they detained 475 people, right? Apparently they released 115 already, or well, they're still holding 300 or something. This article was what, yesterday? So yeah. Most of them South Korean nationals, when hundreds of federal agents raided the sprawling manufacture site in Georgia where Korean automaker Hyundai makes electric vehicles. Stephen Schrank, lead Georgia agent of Homeland Security investigations, said during a news conference Friday that the raid resulted from a months-long investigation into allegations of illegal hiring at the site and was the largest single site enforcement operation in the agency's 2-decade history. Oh. That's why they started investigating. Right. On Thursday, raid targeted one of Georgia's largest and most high-profile manufacturing sites, where Hyundai Motor Group a year ago began manufacturing electric vehicles at $7.6 billion plant. The site employs about 1,200 people in an area about 25 miles, 40 kilometers west of Savannah, where bedroom communities bleed into farms. Governor Brian Kemp and other officials have touted it as the state's largest economic development project. Agents focused their operation on an adjacent plant that's still under construction, at which Hyundai has partnered with LG Energy Solution to produce batteries that power EVs. Court records filed this week indicated that prosecutors do not know who hired what is called hundreds of illegal aliens. The identity of the actual company or contractor hiring the illegal aliens is currently unknown. The U.S. Attorney's Office wrote in Thursday's court filing. South Korean government expresses concern. Yeah. This was fun. Yeah, when I saw this, I was cracking up. Ooh, sorry, I'm a little tired. The South Korean government expressed concerns and regret over the operation targeting its citizens. Koreans are rarely caught up in immigration enforcement compared to other nationalities. Only 46 Koreans were deported during the 12-month period that ended September 30th, 2024, out of more than 270,000 removals for all nationalities, according to ICE. The business activities of our investors and the rights of our nationals must not be unjustly infringed in the process of U.S. law enforcement. South Korean Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lee Jae-woong said in a televised statement from Seoul. Lee said the ministry is dispatching diplomats from its embassy in Washington and consulate in Atlanta to the site and planning to form an on-site response team. Immigration attorney his name is Charles Cuck. Oh my goodness. His name is Immigration attorney no. This attorney's gonna cuck you, said two of his clients were detained had arrived from South Korea. Oh no. He's gonna make fun of immigration. Is the immigration attorney Charles? Oh no. Oh man. Man. The the illegal aliens are getting cucked by Cuck. Oh no. Under a visa waiver program that enables them to travel for tourism or business for stays of 90 days or less without obtaining a visa. They were both engaging in normal visa waiver activities, still lawfully here, doing the activities that are lawful for a visa waiver to do, Cuck said. One of his clients, he said, has been in the U.S. for a couple of weeks. Well, where were we? While others been one of his clients, he said, has been in the U.S. for a couple weeks, while the other has been in the country for about 45 days. He did not provide details about the kind of work they were doing, but said they had been planning to go home soon. Schrank told reporters in Savannah that while some of the detained workers illegally crossed the U.S. border, they're already, that's it. Lock them up. That's it. Deport their ass. That's it. They're goners. They can never come back. Others had entered the country legally but had expired visas. Okay, those guys are different. And or had entered on a visa waiver that prohibited them from working. That's not good. Well, yeah. He said some of those detained worked for the battery manufacturer, while others were employed by contractors and subcontractors at the construction site. Frank said he didn't know precisely how many of the 475 detained were Korean nationals, but that they made up a majority. I think they said three. I think earlier we saw a later post that said like 300 possibly. I gotta look that up though. It might have changed. But I mean, it's still an ongoing investigation, right? So it's probably gonna change as the days go on. Anyways, no one has yet been charged with any crimes, he said, but the investigation is ongoing. Yeah, see. This was not an immigration operation where agents went into the premises, rounded up folks, and put them on buses, Frank said. This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence and conducted interviews. Oh man, they might go RICO with this, right? They're going federal, right? Gathered documents and presented the evidence to the court in order to obtain a judicial search warrant. He said most of the detainees were taken to an immigration detention center in Folkestone, Georgia. Oh man, good old Georgia, near the Florida state line. Easy way. Easy way to facilitate some shady shit. Trump admin has undertaken sweeping ICE operations. President Donald Trump's admin has undertaken sweeping ICE operations as part of a mass deportation agenda. Immigration officers have raided farms, construction sites, restaurants, and auto repair shops. A Pew Research Center citing preliminary Census Bureau data says the U.S. labor force lost more than 1.2 million immigrants from January through July. That includes people who are in the country illegally as well as legal residents. The Democrat Party of Georgia on Friday condemned the raid, with its chair, Charlie Bailey, calling the raids politically motivated fear tactics designed to terrorize people who work hard for a living. Power our economy. and contribute to the communities across Georgia that they have made their homes. It's funny how they keep trying to protect illegal activity. I don't know why they keep doing that. Anyways, I mean, I mean, they're going right. They're going under the assumption that innocent until proven guilty, right? But I mean, they're caught red-handed, so it's like, they're out. Get them the fuck out. Kemp and other Georgia Republican officials who had courted Hyundai and celebrated the EV plant's opening issued statements Friday saying all employers in the state were expected to follow the law. The Hyundai site sits on 3,000 acres, 1,214 hectares, at a largely rural area of Bryan County, drawing in workers from several hectares are the Greek Roman that's what they called it during Greek and Rome, ancient Rome. Right, we still use that. And are largely drawing in work for several sounding counties and communities, including Savannah. Hyundai began producing electric vehicles at the site last September. A few months later, Hyundai Motor Group executive chairman Yusen Chung, during a White House appearance with Trump, credited the president with the company's decision to create more American jobs by building an EV factory in Georgia. Our decision to invest in Savannah, Georgia, creating more than 8,500 American jobs, was initiated during my meeting with President Trump in Seoul in 2019, Chung said at the March event. Battery plant slated to open next year. The battery plant operated by HLGA Battery Company, CO, a joint venture by Hyundai and LG Energy Solution, is slated to open next year. In a search warrant and related affidavits, agents said they wanted employment records for current and former workers, personnel files, payroll information, bank account information, time cards, video and photos of workers, and immigration documents. Social security cards, visas, passports, and birth certificates also were targeted. The agents also sought records about the ownership and management of multiple construction companies and contracts named in the search warrant materials. The documents included the names and photos of 4 people identified as target persons. Oh shit! So they were looking for specific people too, not just the whole operation, but they were looking for key people, right, to be searched without further information about them. So they already had certain information on these 4 individuals. So that puts them at an elevated risk, right? So these people might be dangerous, you know, right? You don't know. In a statement to the Associated Press, LG said it was closely monitoring the situation, gathering all relevant details. It said it couldn't immediately confirm how many of its employees on Hyundai workers have been detained. Operations at Hyundai's EV manufacturing plant were interrupted by the raid, said plant spokesperson Bianca Johnson. Hyundai Motor Company said in a statement Friday it was working to understand the specific circumstances of the raid and detentions. As of today, it is our understanding that none of those detained is directly employed by Hyundai Motor Company. The company's statement said, "We prioritize the safety and well-being of everyone working at the site and comply with all laws and regulations whenever we operate." HLGA Battery Co. did not immediately respond to a request for comment Friday. In a statement Thursday, the company said it's cooperating fully with appropriate authorities. Those arrested Thursday who fight deportation may be detained as their cases wind through immigration court. Oh yeah, that's right. They're going through immigration court, which is a different court system too. Ew. Good luck. The number of people in ICE custody, that's federal, that's basically like federal court stuff. The number of people in ICE custody topped 60,000 in August, an all-time high. There you have it. So as you can see, there was 4 key individuals they were looking for, not just not just looking into the situation of the crackdown of the right what criminal investigation, right? So there you have it. So yeah, even if they were right, since they were looking for those 4 people, like grabbing all those other people were just a bonus in a sense. Here we go. What is going on here? A rush to use school choice. Al Jazeera in bed with Hamas and other commentary. A libertarian rush to use school choice. A public school enrollment is falling not just because of the declining birth rate, but also because a growing share of population prefers alternatives like private schools and homeschooling. Cheers reasons. JD to Cecil? And those families are increasingly assisted with funding from education choice programs across the country. Students have been opting out of public schools and into charter, private schools, and homeschooling options. Sorry. One reason, families were horrified by learning losses they saw in their children when schools bungled remote learning during pandemic lockdowns. Also, participation in private school choice programs is surging due in part to education savings accounts, which make education funding portable. Childhood education will be better since the schools will be chosen by families, not assigned by default. From the right, is the UN worth anything? UN General Assembly delegates meet this month to celebrate with dignity the 8th decades of global concord that their body represents. Notes Seth Barron at Tablet. But more Americans are wondering why their tax dollars are funding programs, efforts, and positions of power for dictatorships that are then given a global platform to fulminate about the past and present crimes of the West. Meantime, the United Nations has failed grotesquely in its peacekeeping missions as time and again, and force was already on the ground. When horrible massacres were conducted, Senator Ted Cruz suggests. If this is what it means to participate in international institutions, we need to fundamentally reassess our involvement. A Gazan journalist was brutally tortured in a Hamas interrogation center in Al-Shifa hospital in June simply because he'd been reporting for a media outlet critical of Hamas. Reports the Free Press, Tanya Lukyanova. Worse, Al Jazeera staff were complicit in such repressions. So there you have it. So apparently Al Jazeera was also complicit in allowing these Gazan journalists to be targeted by Hamas, right? Because they were getting these Gazan journalists to be critical, and well, the Al Jazeera staff were allowing them to do stupid things, right? To say things they shouldn't be saying when they're so close to the conflict, right? Hamas determined because these guys were hunting people, right? They're looking for these people are looking for people to kill, man. Like, come on. Hamas determines who may report in Gaza, and during anti-Hamas they're looking for dissenters, man. If they find a dissenter, they're not going to play nice, right? During anti-Hamas protests this spring, Al Jazeera staff allegedly helped identify dissidents, all right, to Hamas operatives. This complicity has caused the Qatari network to become a target of public anger in Gaza. Though admired by many in the West, Al Jazeera acts as an arm of Hamas's repressive machinery. I don't like him. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Al Jazeera talks shit about America a lot. Right? They always blame America for shit we didn't do. I mean, but you know. Anyways, helping not only to broadcast the group's message, but also to enforce its rule through intimidation, arrests, and torture. Iconoclast. Britain's illiberal speech policing. I am horrified that UK law enforcement has come down like a ton of bricks on Graham Lennon. Oh, he's seen. Okay, so this person has seen this already too. For expressing hostility on X towards rabid male trans activists. Well, I mean, he was just making jokes, but okay. Fumes Lionel shiver at Spike. Dude, there's so many Americans who make some fucked up jokes about trans people too. Come on. It's just he's in British land and they tagged him for it because they're assholes, right? Because you don't have free speech in British land. Anyways, noting that his arrest at Heathrow Airport is potentially ominous news for me personally, since if the Met is stalking airports for anyone who's published a discouraging word about the deeply disturbed social obsession with transgenderism, then I am at risk of arrest and detention, of not imprisonment. Yeah, I would be at risk too, because I say a bunch of fucked up things about these people. Right? I even talk shit about Keir Starmer and shit. Right? I called that right. I called these guys a failed right? A failed country. They'd be very upset with me. Upon visiting the United Kingdom, the British state is not only policing what views we may express, it has also advanced to policing our feelings. Is this what the British state wants? To scare away tourists and court a reputation as an oppressive pariah in what was once traditionally designed the free world, or designated the free world? Foreign desk, time to have Ukraine's back. Mark Toth and Jonathan Sweet at the Hill cheer President Trump's recognition that China, Russia, and North Korea are actively colluding to globally weaken U.S. interests. Indeed, defeating Russia is Europe's best defense, and by extension, Washington's own best defense in the Western Hemisphere and Taiwan. Unlike President Barack Obama, Trump was willing during his first admin to provide Ukraine with lethal weapons, and poking Putin by delivering javelins for storage in Western Ukraine. In return, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has had Trump's back in making it clear Putin's war in Ukraine is part of a global assault against the West. It is now time for Trump to have Ukraine's back. There it is. And that was compiled by the Post editorial board. So they took looks like a bunch of posts and put it together. What's this? Teens nabbed in violent carjacking of Doge staffer. Big balls hit with extra charges. Oh shit. Let's go. The two teens arrested in a violent attempted carjacking theft that left a former Doge staffer nicknamed Big Balls beaten to a pulp in Washington, D.C. have been slapped with additional charges. Get fucked. The 15-year-old boy and girl, both from Maryland, were arraigned on additional charges on Thursday after the bloody attack on Edward Korstein served as the catalyst for President Trump's crackdown in the nation's capital. The pair, who had already been charged with unarmed carjacking, are now also facing assault and robbery charges, Politico reported. During the brief status hearing, the judge also ordered the female teen to be released from a youth holding facility and into the custody of her caretakers on a strict 24-hour curfew. The male defendant is already at home with his parents after being released during an earlier hearing. The suspects have not been identified because of their age. Well, yeah. The alleged attackers are accused of approaching the victims at roughly 3 a.m. the night of the incident as they stood next to their car, police said. The baby-faced suspects allegedly assaulted one of the victims and tried to steal the car. Police who were in the vicinity nabbed the 15-year-olds, but said they were still looking for other suspects. The saga was thrust into the national spotlight after Trump posted a photo of a blood-smeared Korstein on social media as he decried the violence. We just almost lost a young man. Beautiful, handsome guy that got the hell knocked out of him, Trump wrote at the time. If DC doesn't get its act together and quickly, we will have no choice but to take federal control of the city and run this city how it should be run, and put criminals on notice that they're not going to get away with it anymore. Trump later announced a takeover of the city's police and activation of the National Guard in a bid to stamp out the crime. There you have it. There you have it. And with that, we're gonna call it on the news article. If you wanna look at, I will leave all the links in the description, right? All the sources, so you can look into them and whatnot. But yeah, there you have it.